Hello everyone and welcome back to Asian Nagash channel dedicated to Sigmar, and in this video it's going to be a little bit different purely because I am starting to record this on a screen recorder, so that's why I may look a little bit disorganized, but there is one good reason for that, and that's because we have got a guest on this channel who is going to talk to us about Tzeentch, and this is going to be Martin, who has recently started his own YouTube channel which is Chasing Those Sixes. So Martin, how are you doing?
I'm wonderful, mate. Thank you very much for having me.
That's right, no worries at all. So, you've recently started YouTube. What made you want to start?
You know what? There's a lot of content out there on YouTube for just about everything Age of Sigmar related. But I always found that actual reviewing of things is a little bit short on the ground without it being a bit too commercialised. So I wanted to bring sort of more of an honest review to the people.
Fantastic, great to see and great to hear. And I've heard that you are a bit of a Tzeentch player yourself.
Oh,
So
yes.
I thought it'd be great to have your opinion on sort of in this video what we're going to talk about is we're going to go into things like why do you want to play Tzeentch. We're going to look at sort of like pros and cons of the army, and we're going to sort of look at like an overview before I go myself into looking at the war scrolls and all these sorts of things like I've done with the rest of the army videos. So Martin, why would someone want to play Tzeentch?
Because you love magic.
Because you love magic. That's their biggest strength, yeah?
Absolutely, yeah. So Tzeentch's sort of niche is that in the hero phase you will be dominant when it comes to throwing spells. They're very hard to sum up in one sort of phrase, but yes, I would say that if you like Tzeentch, you've got great colour schemes and magic, and the models are excellent. Definitely some selling points.
And would you say that Tzeentch is an army that would reward strategy? Because it's not an army that you can do it with some builds, but it's not an army that is generically suited to just charging straight into your opponent's face, is it? It's more of a reward
Absolutely.
sneaky tactics, ambushing, that sort of stuff.
Well, absolutely. If you were to compare things like Stormcast to the Hammer and Anvil, you would compare Slaanesh. Tzeentch would be more like a scalpel. You're using your heroes to try and assassinate opponents' heroes. You know, you're talking about board presence as well. I personally play a demonic version of Tzeentch rather than the mortal version, and essentially with the demonic version of Tzeentch, you dominate the board with your spells, and as the game progresses on, you're bringing a lot of things on the table. You're using your magic to sort of wound your opponents down, but you're certainly not a melee. You're not a melee-centric army. Yes, your guys can get into melee, but that's not what you're taking them for. You're taking them for their magic prowess. You're using them as a scalpel to help grind away your opponent's army. You're not entirely glass. I wouldn't say that you just fold to the first set of attacks, but yeah, you're using this army as a grindstone rather than as a hammer.
And how would you say how welcoming Tzeentch is to if there's any new players listening to this? Is it an army that is okay for new players, or is it an army for if you've got a bit more experience into Age of Sigmar?
Oh, that's a good one. I think I would say that Tzeentch tends to lean on the more complex side. The reason for that is that basically all your heroes are spellcasters. Even if you start pulling from, Slaves of Darkness and such, you're still introducing an element of spellcasting. And that doesn't sound so bad, but when you've got demon heroes and mortal heroes and on the board, what it ends up doing is that gives you two lowers of spells to pull from. So it can be quite complicated to remember, well, this unit knows this spell, and this unit knows that spell. You're not a command point heavy army by any stretch of the imagination, which is good because I think that's one thing that new players forget a lot. But I think Tzeentch can be difficult because it can be quite unclear as to really where to start. It can be very difficult to pick a unit and say, right, I'm going to focus an army around this.
Yes, and what do you say? Because it's very much magic focus. It's almost the case as we all start, learning the game, getting the grips of the game. It's very much with Tzeentch. It's not. You need to know a bit more than getting the grips with the hero phase. You need to sort of know the hero phase a little bit inside out.
Yes.
Because that is your phase, isn't it? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah. So the Tzeentch. So when for new players listening, even for experienced players, when you're talking about things like setting up your army, with other armies, it can actually be the make or break. If you have a bad setup, it can be make or break. Whereas Tzeentch can be a little bit more forgiving, because the hero phase, I like to refer to it as essentially as the bubble phase. If you're within 18 inches of any of my heroes, there is a particular chance that I'm going to be able to inflict some kind of wounds upon you. And that doesn't matter whether it's your hero, your elite unit, or your horde. Everything is a fair game for a Tzeentch hero caster. The problem with that is that for new players, a lot of players look at Age of Sigmar as a whole and talk about Age of Sigmar as the combat phase game. That's when the sort of meat of games play, and for every other Chaos faction, that is essentially true. The combat phase is where you're working yourself out, whereas for Tzeentch, it's actually majoritively the hero phase. If you had a good hero phase, you get a lot of spells off and inflict a lot of damage, that's going to leave you flexibility. But if you have a bad hero phase where you only cast a few spells, that's going to really cripple you for the rest of the turn.
And if you do have a bad hero phase, are there ways that you can try and pick yourself back up? Or is it as a sort of army that has high rewards? You can have an amazing hero phase, but if you have a bad one, it's going to really impact the rest of your game.
Yeah, so Tzeentch, something that Tzeentch suffers from is that it's not a very buff-heavy army, and it's not an incredibly debuffing army. It's more of an offensive spell army. So what I tend to find is, to take it back a little bit, the Tzeentch heroes, there's almost one for every situation. If you look at a Lord of Change, for example, his spell is essentially an excellent sniping tool. It allows you to pick on an opponent's hero or elite units and quite effectively pick them off. Whereas if you look at the Gaunt Summoner, which is almost the polar end of the scale, it's a third of the size and it's a third of the points cost, or half of the points cost. His innate spell is essentially a horde killer that allows you to roll a dice for every unit or every model in that unit and inflict a mortal wound on a 4-up. So, against the 40-man blob, that's the guy to take. Against a Stormcast heavy army, for example, where it's lots of smaller units, the Lord of Change's spell is very good. That opens you up to some tactical flexibility, but with regards to if you have a bad hero phase, no, you're not entirely out of the game. Tzeentch, for a Chaos army, has some of the best shooting going. If you take Pink Horrors, which is my personal favourite battle line, they have quite a reasonably great shooting attack. The thing with things like Pink Horrors is basically even Arcanites and stuff, which are the other battle line mortal choice, prepare for your things to die in the combat phase. If anything charges you, you are on the back foot, essentially.
And also things like Arcanites, that when you're going from the high bravery characteristics of demons, Arcanites' bravery is not, even Zangor bravery is not particularly high, is it?
No, so that's where Tzeentch can start to become command point heavy. Sort of a thing, as a new player, I can't really stress it enough. If you've looked at Tzeentch and you've kind of teetered with it, you're a bit unsure, the place to start would be with a start collecting box for the Tzeentch, because you're going to get the demonic units, which is going to help mitigate that learning curve of bravery. I think it's just one less thing that people have to remember.
And also, if you get the demonic units, even if you still want to go mortal side, the beauty is you've got the demons to summon on, haven't you, with your fate points?
So even if you play demons and it isn't quite your cup of tea, sort of Tzeentch's caveat, the reason you would take Disciples of Tzeentch over Grand Alliance Chaos is a few things. The first one is, yes, when you cast spells, or when a spell is cast, and as long as it isn't unbound, you're given a fate point. You can accrue these fate points, and after you've reached 10, because the minimum spend is 10, you can start to spend these points on summoning in units within 12 inches of your general, 9 inches away from any enemy units. What this does is this gives you a little bit of tactical flexibility, and which is actually the reason why Pink Horrors are my favourite battle line in the game. Essentially, the way I play Tzeentch is that when I deploy my army, it seems like quite an elite army. Pink Horrors are quite an expensive battle line unit to take. Yes, they are wizards, so they gain, as we mentioned, they gain spells from the lores. They also have a ranged attack, which means in the shooting phase they're doing something, and they also have a melee attack, so in the combat phase they're doing something. But the real caveat for likes of Pink Horrors is when they die, you gain blue horror points. And then later down the line, as more and more Pink Horrors die, you can start summoning in blue horrors, which turns your elite army into a horde army. The difficulty with Tzeentch is that when you start mixing mortals into that, it becomes a game of, well, what could I take instead of this mortal unit? What could I take instead of this hero? And Tzeentch, as a new player, can be quite a difficult balancing act.
And it's, as well as it might be cool to have that mortal unit in there or something just to add a bit more variety, it's an army that, although like the Disciples of Tzeentch all united and like the same as a lot of the Chaos books, well I say a lot of the Chaos books, all the Chaos books, you can have the Slaves of Darkness in there for those dedicated God books.
Yes.
As fun as cool as that sounds, the Tzeentch, even within the battle tome Disciples of Tzeentch, it's going to reward you if you narrow your choices even further, isn't it? If you go more demon heavy or more Arcanite rather than mixing it all. Is that correct?
Yeah, so when you look at, I can only really draw comparisons, and a good comparison is Maggotkin of Nurgle. If you look at Maggotkin, they can solo into demons, or they can sort of specialise into mortals. But because of their overarching sort of keyword synergy, taking a mixture of mortals and demons is actually still reasonably effective. It's not as effective as specialising in one or the other, but when it comes to Tzeentch, I feel that the mortal units, because as I said, they're not a great buffing or debuffing army, your heroes, not like Stormcast or even Death, where Death will, if you're within an inch of a hero, you maybe get +1 attack or +1 to your hit or your wound rolls. Tzeentch doesn't have that. So when you've got low bravery mortal units like Arcanites or Zangors, who don't really get buffed greatly by anything for their melee combat, what it does is it leaves you stuck with melee-centric units that aren't actually really that good at melee. Whereas if you look at the demon side of things, the Pink Horrors can split down, which means you can use them as a tar pit, but they also still have range. And you can summon them anywhere on the board within your hero, which means, late turn sort of shenanigans where you can sort of steal an objective from somebody, or you can swarm that hero model that has been left unprotected. The mortal side of things doesn't have that synergy. The Zangors are another sort of mortal unit that you can look down the road of, and I think people look at the Zangors and get them confused, I think from a new player's perspective, because I know I did. I took the Zangors for demons because they don't look like mortals. We look at mortals and think mortal men.
No,
even the Nurgle guys look human.
But these guys, they were once like the Acolytes, weren't they? And then they got transformed, like in the fluff and the lore, anyway.
Yeah. So the others, and they're also beastmen. So the Zangor are beastmen, and they've kind of got like their own little bubble of synergy. They've got a shaman that they can take, and he really buffs like the rest of the Zangor keyworded units. But the problem is he doesn't really fit in with anything else. He doesn't buff demons, and the demons don't buff him. So it can kind of create a bit of a divide between what you can take. So I focus mainly on demons. So my sort of go-to heroes are things like the Lord of Change, Gaunt Summoners. I must admit, I do love the Curseling. He is a mortal Arcanite unit, but it's for his standalone ability or abilities, not for what he actually brings to the army itself. He's more of a hindrance for your opponent. Even Herald's, he's not got like an aura that gives you +1 to hit or makes your magic casting any better. He's essentially just more of a hindrance to your opponent's casting. If your opponent brings a Stormcast army, he's basically useless, so for a new player, Tzeentch can be a little bit unforgiving in that way. If you don't bring the models that really, really build on each other, you will be severely punished for it. And I have been on many occasions severely punished for it.
And if you're brand new to the hobby as well, and particularly, and Age of Sigmar, we all understand, like, when you're new, and and if it's a new army that you're playing, even your experience, you're probably going to lose your first few games to learn it. However, if you are brand new, and don't let this stop you being put off Tzeentch, but just a bit of a heads up, that if you are brand new and you start at Tzeentch and you're playing quite a few of your first games and you're not winning and you're just not understanding why, it's like Martin saying here, Tzeentch is an army that just takes a bit more time just getting attuned to how the army really works.
Yeah, so in reference to a good example of that is actually the Pink Horrors. If you're playing like the Stormcast, or as yourself will know, if you're playing Death, essentially what you're doing is you're not getting any return. Your return on those units is what they kill. You want to try and kill more than how much you paid for them in points, because that's going to give you a positive return.
Of course.
Whereas with Tzeentch, especially with like the Pink Horrors, you aren't doing that. You want your Pink Horrors to die. I want to run my Pink Horrors at your favourite squishy unit. They probably won't do that much. They'll maybe chuck a wound out here and there. That I take them in units of 10. It's when they die that's important. It's them generating blue horror points. So I'm not looking to table you. A game against a Tzeentch army is not a 3-turn or a 2-turn game. It is a 5-turn game. The Tzeentch player is looking to try and drag out that game for as long as possible, because they are trying to play an attrition game with you, which is they will keep whittling you down. You think, great, I killed that 10 Pink Horror unit. They've lost that spellcasting capability, but you killing those 10 Pink Horrors has given me 20 Blue Horrors. And to even further that, has now given me 20 Brimstone Horrors. So from that 10-man unit of Pink Horrors, I get 40 models that I can play at my leisure. At any time, at the end of my movement phase, I can bubble wrap my heroes, I can drop them on objectives, I can use them as a flanking tool. And that is the thing that as like a Tzeentch player, especially a Demon Tzeentch player, which I can vouch for, you have to kind of get your head around, is that your things are going to die. And you have to really actually want your battle line units to die. You want your heroes to live for as long as possible, but your Pink Horrors, that big blob on the table, you want to throw them at something and let them die, because it's going to slow your opponent down and it's going to give you the ability to summon.
And when they die and they turn into Blue Horrors and such, I know once upon a time you'd have to pay points for it. Do you have to pay points for it now?
No, so this is the Age of Sigmar 2.0 coming through, which is that. So I could give you a wee breakdown of the rule. When a Pink Horror is slain, you get a choice. It can attack in Vengeance, which is roll a dice and pick an enemy unit within 9 inches. If you roll a 6+, that unit suffers a mortal wound. Or you can, for every Pink Horror that dies, you gain 2 Blue Horror points. Now the beauty is that the whole, as I was saying to you, you want to really run these guys up the field and start getting them mingled in with your enemy's front line. The trick is these guys are a wizard, and for a battle line unit, it's unheard of in Age of Sigmar. A battle line unit that can cast spells, and quite reliably cast spells, is excellent. You can use those spells to soften up your opponent or give yourself Mystic Shield. That'll generate a fate point. You can use your fate points and the Blue Horror points to summon in Blue Horrors. What it means is that as you're running your couple of units of Pink Horrors up the field, you're in the understanding that they're going to die. Your opponent takes that as, oh, that's an easy target to pick off. They run in, they kill them, and now, because of Age of Sigmar 2.0, you no longer need to spend reinforcement points or any kind of points other than the Blue Horror points to summon these guys onto the table. What it means is that you are playing the grinding game rather than the table your opponent game.
And it's all just about, it's like every army, it's the same with, I think most armies have a way to be able to slow down the enemy with a durable unit or an enemy unit that just when they die, it's like whack-a-mole, you kill one, but then 2 more will come up sort of thing.
Yeah, so Tzeentch as a sort of general rule of thumb, Tzeentch, not including the Slaves to Darkness stuff, is usually quite soft. Your best sort of saves are 4-ups. There's no way to stop the rend without looking at things like the Ethereal Amulet on your hero. So rend is a major problem for Tzeentch. Really, combat is not where you want to have demons involved either. Again, your pink horrors are an exception to that rule. You want them tying up something. You want them hitting, but they are going to die. They're not like even like a Blood Warrior squad from Khorne Bloodbound. They're going to do twice the work of melee compared to pink horrors.
Oh yeah, if you want a Chaos Combat army, go Khorne. But if you want something
if you want a bit more,
yeah.
They're very. It is Tzeentch all over. They are deceptive. Your opponent thinks that they are getting the points value by killing these guys. They're 180 points for a unit, but they're not. You're paying 180 points for 10 pink horrors, but you're getting 90 points worth of blue horrors, and I think it's 60 points for 10 brim horrors.
Mm-hmm.
So you are getting, an extra 150 points from one unit.
As the things that even like the brimstones. I mean, like obviously their attacks are not good at all, but they have a shooting attack as well, don't they? Like
Yes.
Yeah. So all these little things.
They're a tar pit. They will if you're looking at Tzeentch. So that is, I say that from a tactical point of view, that's excellent. However, from a hobby point of view, if you don't like painting models, I probably would avoid going down the pink horror road.
However, contrast is your friend.
Contrast, yeah, actually, you're very true, and they look good because they're not horribly complicated models, and Tzeentch is known for being multicoloured, so for painting wise, go wild. Paint these guys whatever colour you like. They're pink horror by name only.
Oh yeah, don't let that hold you back at all. Have albino ones, whatever you want. So with the whole, pink horror dyes and 2 blue horrors and brimstones and so on. So I think I know the answer to this anyway. But let's say I've got a unit of 6 more Goss. Okay.
Yes.
They've charged into your unit of 10 pink horrors because that was the only thing they could charge.
Yeah.
And they do, doing quick maths here, they do 39 damage.
Yeah.
I presume that damage does not carry over to the blue horrors.
No, because the blue horrors is a separate unit and is summoned, and you don't put the blue horrors in the pink horrors position. The blue horrors essentially stay off the board until it's back to the end of my movement phase. So if you've charged, it's your turn. You would complete your turn. You've cleared out that unit of pink horrors. Your Morghast are now standing, or your Archai are now standing, essentially with nothing in front of them. In my hero phase, I'm going to use things like magic to try and wear down that Morghast. I might use my Lord of Change's innate spell to inflict some mortal wounds on you. Maybe pick a guy off here, pick a guy off there. And then on my movement phase, I'm going to move away from your Morghast. I'm going to try and get away and get them out of charge range, as say my Lord of Change. And then at the end of my movement phase, within 12 inches, or wholly within 12 inches of any hero, it doesn't have to be your general, it can be any Tzeentch hero, and as long as they are more than 9 inches away from an enemy model, you can just drop down 10 blue horrors. And you can do that as many times as you have points at the end of your movement phase. Now, I've seen games, I personally haven't done it, I've seen games where people have dropped 80 blue horrors on the table with a combination of fate points and blue horror points at the end of the movement phase. They've taken 30 models plus some fate points that they've saved up that whole game. The opponent has thought, I'm away to table you now because there's nothing you could do to stop my guys. And then bang, he had 3 heroes and he just bubble wrapped all of his heroes in blue horrors, and that was it. There was nothing you could do to stop that. It's almost impossible to get through at that point, because even after you've killed them, all I'm going to do is move my hero further back and summon brimstones in the blue horror's place.
And the beauty with the Tzeentch, like I say about being very deceptive, is that there's a very small chance your opponent would have seen that coming.
Yes, so that is the trick. Tzeentch, I can like I say, I can really only speak greatly from the demonic side of Tzeentch, the demon side of Tzeentch. I haven't ran Arcanites because although they are, they're 70 points or 80 points, I think it is, for 10. It's 70 or 80, I can't quite remember, but it's a low model count. You essentially get double the amount of Arcanites, or Acolytes, sorry, to Pink Horrors, but they have no return. They are not wizards. They do have a ranged attack, which is a 5 up, a 4 up, a 5 to hit, 4 to win. Sorry, I do that a lot.
That's right.
Which is fine. If you've got a unit of 20 of these guys, that's 20 attacks, but when you take a 5 up, not that great. Pink Horrors is only 10 guys, but there's a 4 up, so it's a little bit better. But again, you're getting a return on your Pink Horrors. If you're Morghast, charge me, they kill my Pink Horrors, you've got 20 Blue Horrors now to think about. And then after that, you've got 20 Brimstone Horrors to thinking about. And all that time, my heroes have sat and just mortal wounded. Mortal wound, just constantly chucking a wound out here and there, casting a wee spell, more fate points. I also have Destiny Dice, which is something we haven't touched on.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a minute.
It gives Tzeentch a reliability where it should be an incredibly unreliable army, because essentially you're relying on rolling 2d6, and then you've got to roll to see how many mortal wounds you inflict. I can't tell you the amount of times I've rolled ones, which can actually really ruin your plans. But when it does go well for you, when you do roll that 9 or a 10 on that spell, and you get Bolt of Tzeentch off and it's d6 mortal wounds, and you do that 6 mortal wounds, and you watch that Tidecaster, disappear, it's very, very satisfying. I must admit, it is incredibly satisfying.
Oh, it truly must be lovely. And so we talk about the Destiny dice. So the Destiny dice, to me, I look at it and I feel like it's an incredibly powerful ability, being able to not just have like 9 rerolls, but 9 fixed dice for you to be able to avert the luck and randomness in the game. So I look at it as it's really effective and really powerful. But in reality, how good is it?
Not. It's not as effective as you would think, and there's actually really only a couple of units that can capitalise on Destiny dice. If you're going to talk about units that capitalise on it, when we're talking about strategies and stuff, if you want to go down that road, you'd be looking at Lord of Change. Lord of Change is the best man or the best beast to spend Destiny dice on, because when you spend a Destiny dice, you can't use it. So say you cast a spell and it inflicts d6 mortal wounds. You can't just set that to 6. You still have to roll that dice. So you can still roll a 1. And I think that's where, so like to yourself, you refer to Destiny dice as being very, very powerful. They still do not take the unreliability out of casting spells, because you still have a chance to unbind, and I still have a chance to miss and do nothing, or do very, very little. I would say, so a great example of the use of the Destiny dice is you cast a spell, any spell, from your Lord of Change. So instead of casting the spell, you say, I'm going to spend a Destiny dice. So you have to choose to spend them before you roll. You can't roll your dice and then go, I don't really like that 1, I'm just going to replace that with a 6. No, you have to choose to spend them before you roll your dice. The reason that it's good on the Lord of Change is because of his ability, which is when you roll a dice, you pick the highest dice and you essentially duplicate it. So if you roll a 4 and a 1, you've not rolled a 5, you've essentially rolled an 8. What Destiny dice do, if you roll Destiny, so to give people who don't know what Destiny dice are an idea, after setup, but before the first turn has happened, you roll 9 dice and you put them to the side. That is your Destiny dice. You can essentially substitute those dice in for, run rolls, bravery tests, or battle shock tests. Sorry, not bravery. This is Age of Sigmar, not Warhammer Fantasy. Sorry. Yeah. And things like spell casting, you can substitute these dice in for. Again, you have to use them before you roll dice, so you can't roll your charge roll. You got double 1s. Well, I'll just make one of them a 6. No, you have to choose before.
It's a great way to guarantee your charges, though, isn't it? Yes.
Well, what you can do is, if you know you've got a 5-inch charge to make, if you've got a 3 or a 4 on the Destiny dice pool, you can substitute one of those dice in. You still have to roll the other one, but you're almost guaranteeing your charge at that point, and it's really just going to be a dictation of how far you want something to go. But the trick with the Lord of Changes is because his ability allows him to take the highest rolled dice and essentially remove the other one and duplicate it, what it means is you can just put a 6 down, which means you've actually got a 12 on the cast, which generates fate points, and it also guarantees the spell's going to go off. So he's an efficient use of Destiny dice. And people like the Gaunt Summoner, so mortal heroes who are wizards for Tzeentch, can take a spell called Glimpse of the Future. I think it's got a casting value of 7. You roll a dice, and on a 1 or a 6, you can remove a dice from your Destiny dice pool, and put this 1 or a 6 in. So 1s are great for battle shock tests, 6s are good for basically everything else.
Yeah, and like we've mentioned with the 1s for the battle shock, for your pink horrors, it's a dream, isn't it, really?
Yes, so the pink horrors, a unit of 10 can take a hornblower and can take a banner. And the banner, or the icon. The icon is where that greatness is. So the icon's rule is when you roll a battle shock test, if you roll a 1, regardless of how many, this is an important bit of the rule that people forget, regardless of how many models have been killed, so if you've got a unit of 20 and your opponent kills 10 off, it doesn't matter, even if you roll a 1 on a battle shock test, you're still going to lose 1 unit, because your total will be 11, which is 1 greater than the bravery of 10. If you roll a 1, it doesn't matter how many models you lose nothing.
And in that example, it basically means that if you lose in D6, you're actually going to gain.
So,
D6.
if you roll a 1, this is the second part of the rule, yes. If you roll a 1, you roll a D6. Whatever that number is, you gain models back into that unit. So think how demoralising it is for an opponent. This is sort of a tactics thing. You've ran up, you've maybe inflicted some mortal wounds with a bolt of Tzeentch, you've then shot at them, you've then charged them, you've then done some damage in the combat phase, and it might, again, we're not talking 20 wounds here, we're talking 5 or 6, maybe 7 against like a unit of Liberators, for example. You don't have any rend, you're not 2 damage, it's not 3-inch range, it's 1-inch range, everything like melee-wise, it's all close and not particularly great, and you're not even using weight of dice to overwhelm them with it. But then that Liberator squad hits you back. Let's say it knocks 7 out of your 10 pink horrors away. Well, you have to take a battle shock test in that instance. And essentially a 4-up is going to cost you, well, you can just spend that 1 on Destiny dice instead of rolling for battle shock. Not only will you lose no models, you'll start gaining models back. And the 7 guys that he's killed has generated you 14 blue horror points. So you've now got a 10-man unit of blue horrors that you can summon in at the end of your movement phase next turn. So Tzeentch can be a demoralising army for your opponent. They think they've gotten rid of something, but they actually haven't. It's just going to come back in a different location later on down the line.
And also, for the moment, at Tzeentch, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, because it might just be my local meta. However, at the moment, until Tzeentch gets a new book or whatever, they're not the most popular army. So
no,
what that means,
not.
So when you go to a gaming event, be it a tournament or whatever, and you're taking Tzeentch yourself, your opponent might not be expecting to come across a Tzeentch army at the tournament. And if they're not prepared for a Tzeentch army, admittedly, Tzeentch army are not winning tournaments at the moment, but they can really, like all the examples you're giving, catch your opponent off guard.
So the thing with Tzeentch is, again, you're not winning them by battering them down with a big hammer. You're grinding them away. And a lot of armies late game cannot handle that grinding. That's the problem. If you and not only that, you've got these big 18-inch kill bubbles. If your opponent drops a lot, I use Stormcast a lot because they're kind of great examples of things that are hard to kill but have absolutely zero defence against mortal wounds. So if your opponent's got like that Lord Relictor that spent the first 2 turns shimmying, Judicators and Liberators around the board using his ability, if he gets within 18 inches of almost any of my spellcasters, there's a good chance that I'm going to kill him in one move, one go. I'm going to cast like a bolt of Tzeentch. It does D6 mortal wounds. I only need a 5-up to kill that Lord Relictor outright, and he can't stop it because he's got no unbinding capabilities and he's got no mortal wound protection. So as a Tzeentch player, probably more than any other army in the game, you really need to know your opponent's models. You need to know what allows them to be as effective as they are. So you wouldn't spend your time, in a Chaos Mirror match throwing mortal wound spells at Chaos Warriors because they've got a third up chance of just flat out ignoring it. Whereas, the hero that's got no shield, that's sitting at the back that they think you've forgotten about, when you suddenly get within 18 inches and you can start casting spells, yeah, you can do some real damage. But you're right, they're not meta winners at the moment. They're not. They used to be, and they used to have a bit of a cheeky wee Zangor thing going on, but that's kind of been toned down a lot.
Right, so with that, Skyfires, I have still got, ever since I have, let's just say I've still got a very sore bottom from experience at a tournament when I fought against a list of, like I say, I think I had 27 in it, and I just got nuked so hard off that table. I am fully aware now they cost more points, they're not as good as they used to be. Damn, terrain has changed, so they can't get as many pluses to hit, but in my head, I still hate them.
They're absolutely still a dangerous unit. There's no two ways about it. And even if you're playing a full demon army, if you're a new player, I mean, I happened to pick up a couple of boxes. It's a Zangor Enlightened, so if you went online and you try to find it, it would have Enlightened on the front, but it can be built as Skyfires, which are the bow-wielding guys. I happen to have 6 of them. And yeah, every now and again, I like to chuck them in. They move fast, they've got great range on them, and they're really just a pain in the backside for your opponent. They're a nightmare to deal with.
Yeah, and they're just so fast. And the thing is, like, when I didn't fight 27 of them because I didn't stand a chance at that point, but when you fought like a unit of 6 of them or something like that, and I would chase them with a combat unit, to try and catch the bloody archer boys and kill them.
Yep.
Often, if my combat unit hadn't been wiped out, by the time I got to the Skyfires and got into combat, I came to the shocking realization that the Skyfires are actually better than my combat potential at that point.
Because of the discs.
Because of the discs, they're very good. And because they can... Are they better if they attack before the opponent or better if they attack... So there's one of them, isn't there? There's the Enlightened.
Yes, so I think it's I always get this muddled up myself. One allows... It's like visions of the future and visions of the past. And it's the shaman that gives them that ability. So this is about your synergies and stuff. So, if you take a Zangor heavy list, you're going to find yourself investing more into likes of the Zangor Shaman on a disc, because he can keep up with any unit essentially in Tzeentch, but he also confers bonuses onto them, which basically just make them more effective at killing you. They just become... It doesn't make them any harder to kill, but if they hit you first, if they get a chance to actually strike out, lash out and hit you, it's going to be difficult. So Visions of the Future adds 1 to hit rolls for attacks made with Skyfire's arrows that's within 12, and Visions of the Past adds 1 to the hit rolls for the spears and beaks of the Enlightened, which are the melee version. So basically what would happen is you would get blocks of these Skyfires and they would be getting babysat by a Zangor Shaman, and it basically meant that they never missed. But they also had a rule called Arrows of Fate, which was that it was on a 6+. I can't remember exactly what the rule did. Again, I'm not a
more wounds.
It was something like that. Yeah, hang on till I find it now.
I'm pretty sure it was D3
You're right, D3 mortal wounds. So this is where they got a little bit of a change going into 2.0. It used to be that on a 6+, they did D3 mortal wounds. Well, if you had a shaman nearby, that was actually a 5+. So, like, as being a death player yourself, and I take it you've had a great experience with spirit hosts.
Oh yes.
You're not using the spirit host attack to inflict wounds. You're using the spirit host attack to inflict mortal wounds.
Yeah, if you come against something that doesn't, if you come against something with a save of even like a 3-up save or even if there's no rerolls, or even just a 4-up save, to be honest.
Yep.
And you've got no real rend in your army, something like that, and you just really need mortal wounds to do the job. I mean, an ideal army we're talking about here is if you're going against a Stormcast army, where a lot of their heroes have 3-up saves, and the thing is with the Tzeentch guys, with your Skyfires, they're the ones that can pick out those heroes with their 3-up saves who are hiding at the back, and they're the ones who can do the mortal wounds.
So between your shaman being able to still cast a spell and still do things, so the shaman could still do things like Glimpse of the Future, which gives you back Destiny dice. So you can make, that's the other thing, you can make those dice 6s and 5s. That was the trick, is that when you had something that you just had to get off the table in sort of 1.0 version, you would save your Destiny dice until you got your Skyfires in range, and then you would spend all your 5s and 6s and do D3 mortal wounds. And if you had a unit of 6 of these guys, you were getting, an average of 4 5-ups if that was the case. You maybe spend 2 Destiny dice, you roll a handful of dice. You're doing on average, what's D3, 4s, 12, so you're doing 6 wounds. That's a foot-slogging hero dead. And it's had no defence. There's no protecting against that. So they've toned that back now because it's now an unmodified roll of 6. So yes, the Skyfires still have the ability to chuck out mortal wounds, but you need the 6s.
I generally believe unmodified is a lot better than modified. Unmodified is a lot better than like a 6+. And purely why I believe that is because, you can have your Shaman nearby to give you a Skyfires that +1 to hit. However, you're going to be targeting a lot of the time the enemy heroes, which are going to have -1 to hit, so you're back at needing the 6 anyway.
Yep.
And you've lost damn train to get your other pluses to hit.
Well, the other thing with the Skyfires that people would do is, again, we're talking about Stormcast, because it's an easy go-to for people. Mm-hmm. If you've got the Prosecutors, which are the 5-man squad with like the big glaives or the big 2-handed hammers, the sort of more elite
Retributors. You've got Retributors, the Paladins.
Well done, Paladins. Yeah. So, for example, Skyfires could make a unit of them disappear real quick.
Before they get to combat.
And then, because your opponent didn't get a chance to get them anywhere near, you would let them get so far and then you would back away. And then you would let them get so far and you would fly over the top of them. And then all of a sudden, they've moved away from all their heroes. Their heroes are standing in a line. They're on their own. They're unprotected. They're fair game after that. Yeah. Whereas the unmodified is 6 has changed them, and they went up to 200 points. So it kind of meant that everything in Tzeentch that had the Zangor keyword after the Beasts of Chaos book dropped got a big points hike. So they kind of became less prevalent than, say, the Acolytes and the Pink Horrors. Because of the way 2.0 is set up, and because summoning is now free, the Pink Horrors are really the most efficient, probably one of the most points efficient battle line units in the game. You get 150 points for free just by putting them on the table. It's you can't go wrong with them.
Yeah, especially when the enemy puts a load of attacks into them, and all they've really done is just done you a favour. And and I know it's like if you really do like the Zangors and stuff and the Skyfires and the Enlightened, they're not bad at all at the moment. Some people argue that now with the Skyfires going up, the Enlightened, it's their time to shine.
And you're absolutely right.
Yep. Yeah, and I think, like I said to you, I despise Skyfires no matter what. However, so I'm quite happy with their downfall, but they're still a valuable option. But the thing what I like about them no longer being the go-to one is it opens up so many different options of how you want to build your army. You don't feel like, for me with Legions of Nagash, I was really happy when we got the Legions of Nagash book, because I've obviously been a Death player since the start of Age of Sigmar, and I was really happy to get a new book, new rule set.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And then everyone started doing it, and then my one army that wasn't popular now became popular, and I wasn't happy about that. Anyway, we skip along a few months later to when Nighthaunt came out. And then the Grimghast Reapers came out, which I know things have changed for them because recently their points have gone up. But back when Grimghast Reapers came out, the thing what I didn't like about that release was the fact that you could take them in Legions of Nagash, and if you weren't taking them in your Legions of Nagash army, it was considered you were doing it wrong. And that's what I really don't like when there's like, oh yeah, that army has lots of different models, but you really just want to take one of these 3 lists.
Yes.
I really despise that. So the more options, it's like artifacts and command traits for armies. If there's a list of 6 command traits and one of them's amazing, you're never going to take any of the others.
Yes, when you look at that list, there's 2 good ones and the other 4 are basically pointless because they don't fit. So Tzeentch kind of suffers from that just now, but I think that's purely on the fact that before, a lot of the heroes were Zangor heroes, so giving them melee things like the Shaman wasn't a terribly horrendous idea, and it was going to get dragged into melee at some point, but to talk about like shoehorning into an army, that's what the Seraphons suffer from just now. If you don't take a slan, you're not playing it right. You're just not going to get the most out of your army. But thanks to 2.0, and again, people can argue about, they're not as competitive as they used to be, but there is always more of an element to it than just that. It also depends on who you're playing against. But yes, now, because of that change, there is a lot more variety in Tzeentch, and things that people don't talk about is Tzeentch has bad saves and they're not great in combat. A good way to get around that problem is actually Slaves to Darkness.
Yep.
If you take a 10-man squad of Chaos Knights, which is like 320 points, and you arm them with glaives, you give them that charge, you can guarantee the charge because of Destiny Dice. You can have already wounded your opponent by casting spells at them, and then when they make that charge, you've guaranteed the best profile that can be had on Chaos Knights. And yes, they're not tournament winning, but what I'm trying to say is with Tzeentch, don't take things at face value. Just because the War Scroll says he's got a 5 up to hit and a 5 up to wound, that's not what you've got to be looking at. And that, for new players, I think can be very, very daunting. It's easy to look at a unit of Liberators and say, right, I know what these guys do. They're not particularly great at killing things. They're okay. They're not particularly great at staying alive, but they're kind of middle of the road. They're a little bit better than middle of the road. Whereas if you look at like a Tzeentch Acolyte unit, they're horrendous at staying alive. They've not got great melee profiles. They're rubbish at range. They don't have any magic. But when you start putting things like Destiny Dice into that, when you start putting in the support from the heroes, not directly supporting them, but by killing whatever they're charging first with spells, it makes these guys a little bit better. It makes it difficult to look at a Tzeentch army at face value and know what it's going to do. It's almost every time I've put my Tzeentch army down, there's never been a tactic. I decide on the turn what I'm going to do.
Play every game to its strengths, isn't it? And I think what you mentioned about Slaves of Darkness, I think that's a good point, because I know Games Workshop does write into the Chaos God battle tomes that
Yes.
you can put mortals with the keyword into those battle tomes, i.e. you can put Slaves of Darkness, with any of the gods. However, I don't think it's that clearly laid out. So let's say you're brand new, you bought the Tzeentch battle tome, and you look through it, and every war scroll in that book is what's in the army.
Yes.
You do have a wealth of other ones in Slaves of Darkness. And Slaves of Darkness aren't the most competitive, but they can give you some options. Like you said, that Tzeentch isn't... if you look at Tzeentch at face value in that battle tome, they're not the toughest models you're going to get. They're not the ones with the best saves. But you take it. But if you want a big... Well, not even a big block, but you just want a unit just to be able to solid hold down a bunker on an objective, Chaos Warriors.
Yes.
Chosen are a bit, good in a fight as well. Maybe, if you compare them to Enlightened, maybe not as good points for points, but it's another option.
Not just things like that. If you've got like the Chaos Sorcerer Lord on the Manticore, he's got a decent spell. He can take that.
Yeah.
He's also got his own ability, the Oracular Vision, which lets you pick a unit and let them reroll save rolls of 1.
It's
only save rolls of 1, but it's basic. Yeah, it's a free Mystic Shield.
The enemy can't stop either.
Yep, he can still cast a spell, he can still unbind, he can still use endless spells. The other side of that as well is, you could take a Chaos Lord on Manticore, you can guarantee his charge, you can guarantee him to hit, you can essentially pick how far he's going to run, because Destiny Dice, they allow you to remove some of the weaknesses that you would have, however they are a finite pool. But to new players who will inevitably hoard them because, I might want to keep this 5 for later on. Don't. Just spend them. Use them. Get the use out of them. But going back to Slaves to Darkness, one unit that people seem to forget a lot about, and it is quite points heavy, but if you're running like an Arcanite heavy list, or you're running Zangors, the Chaos, the War Shrine.
Yep.
The War Shrine removes the fact that they've not got a great save, because it gives you basically a 6-up invulnerability.
Yep. And then
Save. Also, you can use its ability, which the Favour of the Ruinous Powers, which lets you pick a unit. I think it's within 16. You roll a dice, you're on a 3-up. You can pick a favour. You don't have to pick the Favour of Tzeentch, but if you do, you can reroll all failed save rolls for like an Arcanite Acolyte unit. So you can essentially make them not die.
And again, that's a prayer, not a spell, so the enemy cannot unbind it.
Cannot unbind it. So there are, I think, yes, you're right. The Disciples of Tzeentch Battle Tome is missing things that I think shouldn't be missing, but this is why videos like this are good. Things that new players maybe don't know about. So, like I've said before, a good way to get into Tzeentch, if you want to go down the Demon Road, is to buy the stars. You're going to get Flamers, and you're going to get a nice mix of units that will give you a good feel for the army. But you can still go and buy the Slaves to Darkness box, start collecting box, and you can literally use everything in that box because you can give everything the Tzeentch keyword.
I was going to say, in that box, that Chaos Sorcerer Lord on foot is incredibly expensive in points, but it's got an amazingly good spell.
But my thing is that if you are new and you have bought something like that because you were unsure of really where to go, you can still use it and you can still get the value out of that box. Not highly competitive, but from just getting some models on the table and rolling dice, that is excellent. It's a fantastic way to sort of anchor yourself in. You're still going to get fate points. You can still experiment with stuff like that, and you can still get the use out of the horse, the Chaos Knights and the Chaos Warriors. And then you can start adding in things like Pink Horrors, which are going to give you that sort of more demonic magic feel. But yeah, I do. I think Slaves to Darkness is a nice way, not competitive, but it's a nice way to really mix Tzeentch up and really change the play style.
Yeah, I agree. And yeah, exactly. It's same army, same abilities, same theme, but it changed up the play style. And I was going to say, going back to Destiny dice, there's obviously lots of ways you can invest into regenerating your Destiny dice or to change the result of the number. Obviously, you can go quite heavy to invest that. What's your thoughts? Would you focus a lot on just being able to try and manipulate your Destiny dice as much as possible, or do you think you can spend too much focus on it?
This comes back to the thing I said about Acolytes versus Horrors. It's really, if you're taking this heavy investment in Destiny dice, what are you sacrificing? What is it you have to give up to not take that, to take that Destiny dice? So, Tzeentch has got a spell called Glimpse of the Future. I've mentioned it. Mortal Wizards of Tzeentch can take from it. I can't remember which lore it is. I think it's Lore of Change or Lore of Fate. I can't remember which one of the two it is. I'll just have a quick flick through. But essentially, Lore of Fate. Lore of Fate. So it's the mortal. That's the mortal Arcanite lore. And you roll a dice. You cast it. You roll a dice on a 1 or a 6. You can add that back to your Destiny pool. That's great because even if you fail that, you're still getting Destiny points. Fate points. Sorry. So that still has a return. You can take artifacts. I think there's an artifact that you can give. I've never used it. Again, you need to roll a dice, and it's only on a 6 do you get it back. So in the games that you do get it, it's very nice. It's great. You get a Destiny 6 back, but there's so many other things that you could take. I mean, I like to give my Lord of Change the Mark of the Conjurer. That means that when you roll a double, you get 2 fate points instead of 1 when you cast. Well, he always gets doubles. It doesn't matter if he fails, you still get doubles. So,
of course, I forgot. Yeah, he's got that magic. So
because of his rule. So you are guaranteed 2 fate points with him every time he casts. Now, he can cast 2 spells. If you've got the cogs next to him and you use his ability, which gives all Tzeentch demons within, I think it's 18 inches, +1 to cast. So that includes your Pink Horrors, because they are wizards. so they get +1 to cast if they're within 18 of this guy. The cogs give him +1 to cast as well. So you've got a 2+ casting, you've got Destiny dice, which doubles you up, and you're getting double the fate points. On turn 1, he is an absolute fate point generating machine, and because on turn 1 you're not really probably going to be in range to cast lots of damaging spells, being able to just chuck a Mystic Shield down, cast Chronomantic Cogs and chuck a Mystic Shield down, there's 4 fate points.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I don't like to invest heavy in point regeneration. I usually give that spell, so if I take a Curseling, that's usually the spell I give him, because when you're talking about synergies and what they do, and as I said, he sort of stands alone. When he unbinds a spell, he essentially gets to cast it back on the opponent immediately. So, if your opponent's harassing you with magic, you use your Curseling to unbind it, you can turn it back on them, and that's free, and it's not able to be unbound. Your opponent can't stop it. So it's essentially a free spell. Still generates your fate point, and then in your own turn, you can use that you can use the Glimpse of the Future to attempt to get some Destiny Ice back. So, no, I prefer to go down the road of trying to either make my demons more survivable or try to make what they're doing just more efficient.
Because it's obviously specific circumstances, but it's your army that's going to win you the game, isn't it? It's not those 9 dice. And,
yes.
And it's one of those things like the Destiny dice, they're great. You get them for free. They're part of your Allegiance ability.
Yes.
But it gets to that point though where it's like, so that's great, they're free, and then if you're going to start sacrificing to try and make them better, it's like they're not really free anymore.
And the problem is as well is it's not guaranteed. So even if you cast the glimpse of the future, you're still not guaranteed to get. You've got a 1/3 chance of getting that Destiny dice back. Yes, okay, you've still generated a point from casting the spell, but you haven't done anything. That's all you've done.
Yeah.
Sometimes, though, from a psychological standpoint, it can be good, because sometimes your opponent will try to unbind that spell because they think, I don't want you to get Destiny dice back, where it doesn't really matter, because we speak about Destiny dice and how great they are, but you roll 9 dice, and once you've rolled those dice, that is your Destiny dice. If you roll 1-1, 1-6, and the rest are 3s and 4s, you're probably never going to use those 3s and 4s. It's very, very rare that you're going to get great use out of them. You'll maybe use them on the Lord of Change, because that can guarantee a 7-up spell is cast if you use the 4s, because it's a 4, and then it turns your other dice into a 4. But I don't know. A lot of people think they're quite unfair. Tzeentch has got a doubly hard time of trying to inflict damage compared to other armies. You're made in the hero phase, and you still have to roll 2 dice to cast a spell. If you mess that up, you don't have the shooting potential to sort of save that, and you certainly don't have the combat potential to make up for it. So if you miss a spell, it's not like, I've put my model in the wrong place and I've lost a couple of guys off that unit. If you mess up, if you have a bad hero phase, it can make it, how you play the game, very difficult going forward.
Yeah, I agree. And when you say, Tzeentch has a hard time putting out damage, and talking how people can see the Destiny dice as being overpowered, like I've already mentioned, I feel like, they do take away some of the randomness, and I do think that is not to be underestimated, just how good that
absolutely.
But when you have, at the moment, Slaanesh, that the Keepers of Secrets attack the enemy first on a 2-up, failing that, if the Slaanesh has that mirror with the 2 demonettes next to it, they also have a separate ability, so if the Keeper of Secret fails, they can do it on a 4-up. The Keeper of Secrets, when it gets a 6 to hit, it doesn't generate an extra attack, it generates an extra wound roll. If it gets any 6s to wound, it's mortal wounds instead of normal damage.
And as a Tzeentch player, you can't stop those mortal wounds. You have very little.
Yeah.
You can stop the spells, but you can't stop the mortal wounds.
But when it's just when it's not spells and it's just combat ability.
Yeah, you've got no. As a Tzeentch player, you have no protection against that. The only way to do that is to ally into Slaves of Darkness and take models with rune shields. So a model that, for example, shines brightly in Tzeentch that we have never spoken about is Archaon. Archaon is an absolute tank in this army. He can cast 2 spells. He's got a combat ability that can instantly kill anything. So,
Finally, Slayer of Kings actually does something.
Yeah, Destiny Dice add to that. He also can give himself, because he's a wizard, and when you take him with the Tzeentch Allegiance, he can choose from both lores, so you can pick one spell from each lore. I like to give him Infusion Arcanum from the Lore of Fate, which is the mortal one. That adds 1 to all hit and wound rolls on that model. So even Dorgar's ability, like to inflict damage, increases. So, and then I could give him something like Bolt of Tzeentch, where he can do on a cast and an 8. If he gets it off, it's D6 mortal wounds, so you can soften up a target as well. But Archeon shines in that because he's got a 3-up save. Okay, he's not immune to rend, but he's got a 3-up save. He's got a 5-up mortal wound save, so there's that problem taken care of. He's an absolute monster in melee, which is Tzeentch's weakness, so you cancel out the weakness of that. And he has access to Destiny Dice, so you can guarantee what's going to happen. So, but the trade-off is that, yes, he's 660 points. He's an absolute points hole. But what a thing to put down on the table. Your opponent is just like, oh no, that's not good for me.
Exactly.
But
yeah.
You back him up with Pink Horrors. Pink Horrors can take a spell called Fold Reality that lets them, on a 2+, regenerate models. So when your opponent, so you combine that with a Battle Shock test that you've got back models on, and then on your turn you bring back model. You use their own spell to bring back their own unit, and then at the end of the movement phase you drop those blue horrors because your opponent has given you. It can be for your opponent whatever tactic they had planned. It can absolutely annihilate it. It can just blow it out the water because they have to deal with so much, and it can be in multiple places in one time. And armies that are heavily elite cannot deal with Tzeentch very well.
No. And like you say, you have got Slaves of Darkness to try and help against mortal wound protection. But if you can just screen things with Pink Horrors, I understand Pink Horrors aren't the cheapest units to use as screens. But
even still, they're 180 points for 10. Yes, it is for a battle line unit. It is a lot. It is quite an expensive battle line unit.
But like you say, it's not the 10 you're getting though, is it? It's the blue horrors.
It's the 40. When you take 10 Pink Horrors, you're essentially taking 50 models, 50 wounds per 10 Pink Horrors. As long as you've got space to drop them, that's fine. And that's why I say get the Pink Horrors up the field fast. Let them die, because it stops your opponent from moving, and it leaves you this nice big empty space for you to start dropping blocks in. And you don't have to summon blue horrors with your fate points. You can still, if you accrue 12 fate points, I like to drop a herald on the table. That gives you another hero model, which is another 12-inch bubble to summon into. And he's got his own spell, so there's another fate point. So, and I think it's at 20 points you can drop another 10 blue horrors on the table. So for 20 fate points, you can drop another 50 models onto the table, because this split rule still applies to anything that's summoned. So, yeah, you can, if you don't ally and you don't look into Slaves of Darkness, so not ally, but if you don't stray from the sort of Tzeentch battle tome, there is a huge amount of effectiveness in there. For a new player, that is definitely something to just keep your eye on. If you are a new player, I would probably suggest you go online. Don't netlist, because if you can netlist a Tzeentch army as much as you like. A Tzeentch army is the army that will punish you for netlisting, because you will not know how to use it. You'll put all these beautiful models down on the table and they will die, because that's what happens.
Because these netlists, well, people got to remember, they're not, netlists aren't one person just came up with one list and then had a game and then won and then just been smashing out games since. Yes. It's by these people, like, we all play multiple armies, most of us. Like, I have more armies than I can count. I know you were saying that you have more than enough, like, you wake up in the day thinking you want to do one army, you go to bed, you want to do another.
Yes, absolutely.
A lot of, not all the people who come up with these net lists, but a lot of them will only play one army for about a year. They will just get that good good at it. And
Yep.
if you think like you're taking that list and you've had 5 games and you still haven't won one and you don't understand, and because these are the list that's winning.
It's because these people have invested their
Exactly.
time into making this effective, and I would say for Tzeentch, probably more than any other faction, if you netlist, you will be punished for it. Because if you don't know where to put those horrors, if you don't know what to cast that spell on from that Lord of Change or from that Gaunt Summoner, the Gaunt Summoner's got an amazing horde killing rule. If you cast that on a unit of 5 Liberators, you can netlist until the cows come home. You're never going to get the effectiveness out of that. So as a new player, go online, have a look and see what people are taking, but find out why they take it. Find out, is there a particular reason that everyone seems to take, at the time, Skyfires more than Pink Horrors? Well, yes, because it synergizes, and this is why. But I would say for a Tzeentch player, or for somebody who's new, who's coming into Tzeentch, it's a very difficult first-time army, because there is something happening in every phase. And you are doing things in your opponent's phase a lot. You have a lot of decision-making processes going on. If Arcan casts his innate spell, you've got a choice. Do you want to unbind it and stop it from happening, or do you want to let it happen and get that fate point? However, you run the risk that he might kill you, or might delete one of your units. He might not, but as a Tzeentch player, you've got
to be able to make those risk assessments. You've got to be able to think on your feet. It's an army that, let's say, you're getting into Age of Sigmar. You sort of understand the 4-page rule set, or I think it might be 12 pages now.
I think it's mostly pictures.
Yeah, exactly. You understand the colourful pictures. You understand the symbols. Fair enough to be able to play a game. And then you're thinking like, I've got a more experienced buddy who's going to a tournament in 4 months' time, and he wants me to come with him. I like Tzeentch. I'm thinking about maybe taking them to that tournament. I would not pursue a Tzeentch army to go from a, what I'm trying to say is,
from an absolute novice, a 2,000 point Tzeentch army, you've got a lot to remember.
Exactly, because you've got to play in every phase, and like you've correctly said, you're not just playing in every one of your phases, you're playing in every one of the enemy's phases. So I'm trying to think what you got. The hero phase, movement phase, shooting, charging, combat, battle shocks. That's 6 phases.
Yep.
So in a battle round, that's 12.
Yep.
It's a lot.
And people can say, that's maybe not the case, but if you get charged, that pink horror unit starts getting a hit, you still have to remember to put those blue horror dice aside. You have to remember to take note of how many fate points you've got, what spells you're using. If you pull endless spells into the equation, that's even more to remember. So, yes, it's. I'm not saying that any of the armies are simple. Every Games Workshop have done a great job at trying their hardest to mix things up. And Flesh Eater Courts can be a bit one-sided, but there are still a way to play them as a variety. You do not have to play them in their opponent-crushing way. Tzeentch doesn't have that luxury. Tzeentch has got so much going on, and because you don't have a hero and then linchpin everything around that hero, that's not really how it works. Like I say, the mortals don't have a great hero that confers to them X amount of bonuses. That if you decide, right, I'm not taking a Lord of Change, I'm going to take a Gaunt Summoner as my hero, which is an excellent hero. The things you're going to start considering is, well, he's not as survivable as the Lord of Change, so I need to keep him alive. So do I take offensive spells or do I take defensive spells? Has my battle line got to change then? Because he's immortal, but he's also a demon, and a lot of, as a new player, Tzeentch has got a lot of things going on, and it can be information overload. If you are watching this and you've never played Tzeentch before, I would suggest you pick a keyword. Pick Arcanite, pick Mortal, or pick Demon, and focus on that, and play that one list until you understand Tzeentch well, and until you've remembered about your Destiny dice, and all the abilities that are quite selfish to units. Like I say, the Lord of Change has got a great ability. He extends his arm wide and is a beacon of sorcery and gives all your demon models +1 to cast. Well, novice players are forget that they're battle line or wizards, so you're missing out on that +1 to cast. You know, that fold reality that was a 5 is now a 4. A 4. But people will forget that, and it's amazing how many people forget that.
Yeah.
You know, so if you are going to go into it, you really do need to take notes. Have it. It's not bad, and a lot of people can frown upon it. I've been frowned upon when I started playing Tzeentch, and even really when I start playing any army, I take a cheat sheet. I write down what everything does and when I should be doing it, and in what circumstance. And yes, it can end up being, for Tzeentch, it can end up being 3 bloody pages, but do it until you're comfortable with what you are playing, and then start looking outwards.
Exactly, and that is a way to, you know, so you remember your rules when you need to in the game. The other great bonus to that is it makes the game so much quicker. I mean,
Yes.
don't get me wrong, I'm sure most opponents out there are more than capable of being polite and patient,
Absolutely.
and especially when you're new to an army. But you want to do your best to try not to drag out your turns the most you can, and also in the sense that if you're looking at taking them to tournament, remember it's not a case of you don't really want to waste your opponent's time. Those games are timed, and you do not want to be in. I've been in these situations where because of someone's been a bit slow with their armies, albeit not their fault, they're just trying to get their head around everything.
Maybe a lot to remember. There's a lot going on as well on a tournament. There's a lot of pressure, you know.
There's a lot of pressure, and you do not want to get to a point where you finish the game before all 5 rounds. Because remember, some armies, they're better in the later turns than the first turns. Like
Tzeentch. Tzeentch is an excellent army. Like I say, if you take 2,000 points and you take the 3 minimum battle lines of 10 pink horrors per thing, so that gives you 30 pink horrors. That's 150 models. That is 150 wounds that you are putting on the table. That doesn't include your heroes, so you're going to have things like the Lord of Change, you're going to have the Curseling, you can have things like so other units that we haven't spoke about, like the Magister. You know, if he casts a spell, he's got his innate spell. If he inflicts a wound which kills a model, it lets you set up a Chaos Spawn for free within 1 inch of that enemy unit. So you can tie up units with that. That takes up more time. The Ogreoid Thermitage, which was from the Silver Tower, I think it was, he appeared.
Yeah, he was originally from that, yeah.
He's got a spell he's got a Fire Blast or a Fireball spell that when it inflicts wounds, however many wounds it inflicted on that opponent, you can summon in Brimstone Horrors. And so there is a lot going on, and Tzeentch is a hero phase army. I've said it before, but the other side of that as well is you are doing everything in every phase, which is time consuming. Very time consuming. When you've got the Curseling on your table, not only are you casting spells, you're looking to unbind your opponent's best spells and then recast them. So you're essentially casting 3 times. That all takes time. That all takes up, as you say, valuable time in a tournament, which is limited, which is restricted. So I would say for Tzeentch, start at 1,000 points. Really, you should do that with any army. But you want to play at least 10 games at 1,000 points with Tzeentch before you start looking at bursting that army out into the even to the 1,500 point region. You want to play at least 10 games because you've got 12 lore spells to pick from. You've got, depending on what you take, if you take a summoner, a Gaunt Summoner and a Lord of Change in an army, that's about 500-ish points. That's 2 lores you've got to pick from, so that's 12 spells. You've still got their innate spells, you've still got both of their abilities, you've still got command points on top, destiny dice, artifacts, command traits. It is, like I say, it can be a huge amount to cram onto one person in a very short space of time. I made so many errors with Tzeentch rules to start with. You would not believe the amount of things that I was doing wrong, just simple things, because I was so focused on, right, I need to cast this spell. Right, I'm trying to remember how much it does, how much it costs to cast. Oh wait, the Lord of Change gets to do it for bonuses, and oh, what about Chronomantic Cogs? And yeah, so study your army. Tzeentch is a great tool, but You really, really do need to know what's going on. It is not a beginner-friendly army. We can't say how quickly you learn information. You might process information very, very quickly, but until you've got a Lord Celestin breathing down your Lord of Tzeentch's neck, and the panic's on because you don't want your Lord of Change, you don't want your Lord of Change to be turned into mince, you've got a lot of rules to remember. And when the pressure's on with Tzeentch, the pressure is on, big time.
And what I would say to that is already true. But remember, you have as much time as you need to learn the army. You know,
yes.
You've got... And to some extent, all what we've been talking about, saying how we haven't used the word complicated, but I think the word in depth is more true to this army.
Yes.
And the thing it sounds like a caveat because it's not a good beginner friendly army. If you're in no rush to learn how to play it really quickly, it's a beautiful army because it's an army that you're not just going to learn all the tricks really quickly. It's not an army that is linear. Yes. Tzeentch is the least linear god that there is, isn't he?
Yes.
And the beautiful thing about what we've talked about how he plays and everything, how the army plays, is that it really, 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 really reflects the lore.
Absolutely.
Yeah, which
absolutely,
is beautiful.
Yes. Yeah, and there's very few armies that when you put them on the table and you look at a Tzeentch army, you know what it's about. You know, if you take that big unit of slavering demons and that massive bird-looking creature at the back of the table, you know, that's got a 6-inch wingspan on the table, you know, when you're looking at stuff like that, they really exemplify what the army is actually about. And that's why I was saying, like, the start collecting box for them. It really, really does exemplify what the army does just by looking at it.
Yeah, and Tzeentch is if we look at fantasy, we've got the undead, you know, and any other sort of aspects of fantasy, you know.
Even if you look at Khorne, the bloodletters are a stereotypical demon.
Yeah,
you know, that's what we picture demons to look like. You know, with the big horns.
In the Christian faith, isn't it?
In the Christian faith, yeah. You know, big horns. You know, evil, violent. You know, Tzeentch isn't about that. That's not the way it's done.
No, and what I was going to say is that it's like if you look at an Angel's army, you don't need to know really anything about the rules, but you can look at them and think, right, they're the sort of model, if it falls off a table, they're not breaking at all. They're just going to run at you and hit you like a brick. The Tzeentch army, but they're orcs, and orcs in most fantasy, you know, particularly Warcraft, there's a good resemblance to the same sort of size and build. They're just combat orientated. Tzeentch, if you don't really know Warhammer, you don't really know what Tzeentch is about. But Games Workshop, exactly, and Games Workshop has managed to transfer the narrative about Tzeentch into the look of the models. Like you say, when you see them on the table, even if you're very new, you get an idea. Even if it's all just these, you know, the magic stars they're not just a stick. They've got all sort of like, you know,
they're very ornate. There's a lot of flame and warp fire floating around them. Absolutely.
And the colour schemes. And some of them, the colour schemes, I mean, I haven't really painted that much Tzeentch, particularly demons, but I imagine a lot of this blending, now I'm not saying blending's easy at all because it's not, but to get it tabletop standard, contrast paints are going to help with that. Especially if you want to go, like I said, the horror route, I think contrast paints are, especially if you're not worried about getting them, like, shall we call cabinet
window friendly.
Exactly.
A window friendly model. Yeah, if you're just playing with your friends and you really just want something on the table, another good thing is a tip that I would give you if you're painting things like Brimstone Horrors, if you're painting things like the Flamers, spray paint them white and use washes, because you can be as messy as you like. So the Flamers of Tzeentch are an excellent example. In the book, they're like a bluey, purpley colour. They're like a mix of colours. Well, there's no rule to say that they have to be that colour. You know, and that's the same in every army. But if you spray paint them white, and then you take two colours, your two favourite colours of washes, and you blast them together. It doesn't matter if they're splashy, it doesn't matter if the colours overlap. From a hobby perspective, you can crank out flamers in 15 minutes. But it takes longer for the wash to dry than it will to actually paint the unit, because that's what Tzeentch is all about, the random, ever-changing colours.
And the lore from, I can't remember what novel it was from, but it's a Black Library, some Games Workshop, on Tzeentch's colour scheme. It says, you know, Tzeentch is very decorative, and often his followers have the colours of blue and gold. So that's the standard colours, so it lays that down. And then it goes on to say, however, the changer of ways with, no surprise, is consistently all about, mixtures of it. It never if you look at
looking at a wall with an ever-changing pattern. That's the whole kind of thing with Tzeentch. To look at them for long enough will drive you mad.
Exactly.
Because colours on the shields are always changing. There's, you maybe start seeing faces, so you can go hobby daft with Tzeentch. You can really just unleash the inner hobbyist with Tzeentch, for lack of a better term.
Exactly, your imagination is your limit, because it's like, if you looked at Tzeentch, if it was a chemical, it's an unstable chemical. It just it's like you're saying, like the changing colours of a wall. Like those paint schemes you get on cars, where you stand on this side and it's purple. You stand on the other side. Yeah, the stand on the other side, it's red. And I think I've seen there's like some person has painted models like that before, and I don't know how, but that's the beauty with Tzeentch. So with that, I was going to say we can talk about the pros and cons, but I think we've pretty much covered that.
Yeah, I mean, I think from a
summarising it.
Yeah, like a bullet point thing would be, your pros are your heavy magic. You've got a great variety of models. You've got a huge catalogue of models to pick from. You're doing something in every phase. You're decent at shooting. You're not great at combat, but you can still manage it. And some of your models are also the newer models. So you're getting some really great sculpts. The Arcanite stuff, although maybe not the most competitive, is more recent sculpts, and they're beautiful. They're beautiful, beautiful models. When we're talking about cons, it can be very memory heavy. You've got a lot of lores to remember. You've got a lot of rules to remember. If you go down the demon route and you go down the pink horror route, even if you go down the Arcanite route, because you take them in blocks of 10 and they're quite cheap, so you can end up with 40-man units. You can have a lot of stuff to paint. You can have a lot of models to transport, and some of the stuff's very spiky, so transporting that stuff safely can be a bit of an issue. Other cons would be your battle tome's actually incredibly, as we make this video, I should put that as a caveat, your battle tome is incredibly out of date. So be prepared for everything that we've said to potentially change. And that would be good, because change is always a good thing. I disagree with a stagnant game. I like the fact that they bring out new battle tomes and new rules, but it does mean that things are going to change. And when they do change, you've got this learning curve to go through again, which I think is something to keep in mind.
Exactly. And you couldn't suggest for a moment that the Lord of Change himself would object to having this change, would you?
I knew this video would not go by without a Lord of Change quote somewhere.
It was coming.
It was got to come at some point.
Shoehorned in. But also, if people who are wanting, because I know apologies, can't remember who put the comment, but someone put a comment on last video saying that Tzeentch really does need a new battle tome, and I'm not going to disagree with you. It's an army that is due a new battle tome, but we have talked about a lot of ways how they can play currently in the meta, and
they're still absolutely viable. And when we talk about meta, the problem with the meta is it's not about the armies that you play. It's actually the people you play against. You can have 20 people in a meta. You're included one of them. You're the only Tzeentch player. Everyone else, say, turns up with either Flesh Eater Courts, Idenith, or Daughters of Cain. That's fine. If they can't play those armies in such a way that you know how to play your Tzeentch army, you will win.
Yep.
If you know how to outplay them, not through strength of force and not through staying power on the board, but through actual tactical gameplay and manipulating your opponent's moves, again, it's the mental thing. If you've got Destiny Dice, your opponent will not forget that. They also want to keep their heroes away from your heroes, because your heroes can insta-dead them with magic. So just because, as you say, they've not got the most up-to-date battle tome, the Tzeentch book is still worth a pick-up. Even now, if you're listening to this now and next week they bring out Disciples of Tzeentch new battle tome, I would still tell you to go and pick up the old battle tome, because it's still jam-packed with lore. It really does embody what Tzeentch is. It really does exemplify everything about the army in a very nice, compact way. And most of it will still be relevant. Tzeentch doesn't need many great updates. Maybe some new spells would maybe mix it up a bit. Some points changes. But other than that, I actually really like the way Tzeentch is. It's a very consistently inconsistent army. No two games with Tzeentch are the same. You never put that unit on the table and expect it to do what it did the last game. It doesn't work like that.
And that's the joy, isn't it? And which is really, really nice with the Tzeentch, because, like we say, the thing with the Tzeentch army is that, like, when you go to play your game and, like, you pick a battle plan and, there's objectives on the table, obviously you play to win by the objectives and so on. But if you're, like, naive enough to think that with a Tzeentch army on the table, that's just going to be about the objectives, oh boy, you're going to be in such surprise at all these mini games of in-games and deception and deceit and everything.
Yeah, as a Tzeentch player, I'm hoping you fixate on one thing. It doesn't matter what that one thing is, but once I figure out what you fixated on, I'm going to take advantage of that. I'm going to draw you close, and then all of a sudden, you're going to find that your favourite unit has now got 2 of my heroes and a block of my pink horrors in his face, and every single one of them is casting spells at him. And they just can't stand up to that amount of punishment. It's like a combination of elite and weight of dice. It's just your weight of dice doesn't come from that 40-man Marauder squad. It's coming from the fact that you're doing D6 mortal wounds, D3 mortal wounds. You're bringing back D6 units.
It's an army that can pump out. Yeah, and like I say, for Tzeentch to get their damage out there, it's an army that can pump out a lot of mortal wounds.
Yes, but the caveat is it's very unreliable and it's very swingy. Which again,
adds the fun.
I think that's what makes. So I know we spoke before about sticking to an army. It's very difficult to stick to an army. Whereas if you are like that, Tzeentch is an excellent place to find yourself, because again, you've got a massive catalogue to pick from, but because a lot of the damage output you do is random, it can actually make your games feel a bit refreshing. You're not just face rolling your opponent, but you're also not just getting face rolled. And every game will be different, and it will feel different, because your opponent is going to try and adapt to what you're doing, which lets you adapt to their adaptation. So it really is the changer of ways. It really is an army that you need to try and remove the caveat of, right, this is what this unit does and this is what this unit does. That Tzeentch, again, doesn't play like that. They have roles, but they are adaptable.
Exactly, and I think on that's going to be a good note to leave this on. So, Martin, thank you very much for coming onto the channel. It's been very good to have you, and fantastic insights in the army, I think.
Well, I can just say thank you very much for having me. It's good to kind of... It's very hard to shoehorn any army into half an hour, 40 minutes, whatever the sort of time is. It's very difficult to pull it into that, and Tzeentch is very difficult to do that with. But if even one person can take something away from this video, that'll be a big thumbs up in my books, definitely.
Fantastic. I can only agree. So guys, if you'd like to check out Martin, he's literally brand new on YouTube. He's got one video up at the moment, which is talking about Seraphon. And the nice thing about that is there's not a lot of Seraphon content out there, so if you're interested in that, he's also got much more plans to do in the future. I'm going to put a link to his channel in the description of this video, so please check him out. He contacted me regarding, because he's been watching my channel and was asking for a little bit of advice on the video. He gave him advice, and I suggest maybe work together a little bit. If anyone else is thinking about starting YouTube, honestly, Martin will testify this, because he's like right at the start of it. Anybody can do YouTube if you've got a phone and you're connected to the internet.
Yes,
nothing that'll stop you.
So my first video, my video is for the I did like a review, just a sort of a quick, less than 10-minute overview of the Seraphon Battle Force box that is now out of print. I did that with an external microphone, which cost me £20, and my mobile phone. It's not the highest production quality video out there, but you know, it's had some people watch it. I've had some people message me and say that they enjoyed it, even though it is out of print. You know, so yeah, absolutely. The best advice for that would be just start. Just make a video and put it out there, and just ask people for their opinion. Don't be scared to ask people.
And I also think with our hobby, it is quite. You look at our hobby, and you think it's quite a niche one. You know, like
Yes,
I don't know. If you live on a housing estate, you might be the only one who plays Warhammer for, I don't know, the
yeah.
40.
I am the only person on my street of a few hundred that play the game,
Well,
because I have asked people. You know, I've asked, does anybody else play? No. So
well, there you go. And I think what social media, especially things like YouTube, is really good is for, like, you know, without trying to sound like too cheesy, it, you know, can really connect, you know, sort of hobbyists that live quite far away from other people that connect with Warhammer. And what I'm trying to get at is the more of us who are on things like YouTube, so it's the more opinions we can share, and we learn from other people's opinions. Like, for example, I am obviously reviewing Tzeentch at the moment, and the series just started. But I didn't know nearly as much about Tzeentch as what we've just discussed in this. I don't know what the timer is now, but half an hour to an hour sort of thing. I've learned so much, certainly about the whole sort of pink horror trap. I think it's really interesting, and I just think it's absolutely great. I mean, like, me and Martin, we live on opposite sides of the United Kingdom, so we would have never met in any other circumstances, and it's just great to share opinions. So, guys, please check out his stuff. And like we say, if you want to check out his video or videos, if he's got more by the time,
they will be coming. Ironically enough, the next one will be Tzeentch. Will be the start collecting box for Tzeentch. That's the plan, anyway.
Oh, fantastic! And again, like, if you've got any advice for him, I'm sure he'll be willing to hear, because we're all trying to.
Yeah,
help.
absolutely. If you guys have got, if you know any people who are listening who are, for example, experienced Tzeentch players, and you've got things that you like to do, let me know. Let us know. Let us know in the comments as well. You know, let us see how you play, or if you've come up against something that was horrendous, you know, and you don't want to come up against it again. Don't tell us in the comments, because then I'll try it.
Yeah. And I was going to say, let me know how you guys think this video went, because I think imagery on the screen, it's not the most interesting, because it is literally just a screen recording. However, this is the first screen recording software I've ever done on a computer, so there will be improvements to be made, a bit more interactive next time. And also, let us know how you think this video went, because the reason why it is screen recorded is because it was the easiest way to be able to do a joint video. Yes. Let us know what you guys' thoughts about that, and maybe we will arrange for something to be done in the future. And like I say, if any of you guys think about starting YouTube, just do it, and I'll be more than willing to help you. So I'd like to also say a thank you to Martin, and a well done, Sol, because this is your longest video by far that you've been involved on, and it's you know, like, I hope everyone enjoys it, because, you know, it can be quite tiring trying to find the time and everything to do it, but we've managed to get it done today, so that would be great. And this is being recorded on we're on Monday today, aren't we? Monday, yes, the 7th of October 2019. It may go up tonight, but by the time we're done, it might be a bit too late, so it might go up tomorrow, which is going to be Tuesday. But I hope you guys enjoy it anyway when it comes out. So thank you very much, Martin. And remember, guys, until next time, Nagash is all, and all is one in Nagash.